I've really found over time that there's certain patterns in terms of what it means to attract a woman and get her interested in you. And a lot of guys, they're really obsessed with the idea of nice guys and jerks, or, assholes, and at the other end, people pleasers. And this is very important. It's very important. And it's a really important thing to look at because there is a difference between those two. And what I've found over time through looking at these patterns is that there seems to be a spectrum. And this spectrum is something I'm going to be explaining today in terms of why guys who are on one end of the spectrum, who you might call a jerk or an asshole, whatever, end up attracting more women than the nice guy. And what's really cool is we can tap into this and you can become that guy without actually having to be a so-called jerk or someone who is very mean to people, rude to people, or are looked at like that. I know a lot of guys, they don't want to be that. They want to be themselves. They want to be a good person and still be able to attract women. That is possible, my friend, again, while we look at this spectrum. Let's dive into it. So imagine a line here, okay? Again, on one end is super nice guy, people pleaser. On the other end is super jerk, asshole, whatever, okay? So why, if we go towards this end, towards nice guy syndrome, why does this not work? And why does this work over here in jerkland? Well, here's the thing. First of all, what you have to understand is that it's not that women want to be with a guy who's mean. It's that they're not attracted to a guy who is always available and who is always being there for her in all these nice ways, who is always agreeable, who is, essentially boring, okay? So that end is boring and it's weak. And that weakness is something that women are not attracted to. Now, I'm not talking about weak and strong in terms of your muscles. I'm talking about who you are as a person, your personality, okay? They want a guy who has that strength, that mental strength, so to speak. So if we're on this end, nice guy land over here, he does not exhibit that because he is basically manipulating a woman by letting her know, hey, I'm going to be this nice guy and do all these nice things and do whatever you want to get you to like me. So it's manipulation. She knows that, and she sees that, okay, so this guy really isn't confident. There really is nothing to actually like about him. Therefore, I'm not going to. He's a guy that I can easily step on. And this guy is someone who doesn't have any self-respect. So it really boils down to confidence. And they know that when a guy is being overbearingly nice, okay? Now, let's move all the way to jerkland over here on this end of the spectrum. So this guy, who is this guy? Well, in a really simple way, let's just say this. Jerkland, the jerk, he just doesn't give a shit, okay? Now, if we're all the way at the end of the spectrum, he really doesn't give a shit, doesn't give a shit about what happens when he's talking to a girl, doesn't care if he says something rude, doesn't care if he says something that is polarizing, which means that it's something that someone might not agree with. He's just doing his own thing, and he doesn't care what anyone thinks. So basically, the secret that jerks are using to attract women, and they're not doing it purposefully, just who they are, is that they don't care. They are careless and they are carefree. So that makes them look like jerks because they're not necessarily being nice to people please. They're going to state their opinions. They're going to do what they want to do. And if no one wants to come along with that, they don't care. So there is a strength in that. Let me explain. The strength is that that guy is so comfortable within himself, who he is, that he sometimes actually will disregard other people. But that's on the far end of the spectrum. But he really just doesn't care what happens. He doesn't care what happens because he just wants to do what he wants to do. Sometimes to a fault. And that's where we can actually help you. It's not about going so to the point, to a fault, where you're actually being rude to people, where you're stepping on people, where you're not building people up. When you get too far in jerkland on that end of the spectrum, it actually doesn't become very charismatic anymore. Okay, it just becomes like this guy is really, really intense. And yeah, there'll be some women who are attracted to that. But what I want for you is to move away from this end of the spectrum and shift yourself more towards this end, more towards jerkland, if you want to call it that, but not all the way over. So I want that kind of sweet spot right here, like 80% over to this side, where you are speaking your opinion, where you do care less about what people think of you. And what happens here, by the way, is this guy is not going to be obsessed and have this like one-itis obsession with one girl, because he knows that if she's not interested and she's not meeting up with him, or she's not advancing herself sexually with him, that he's out, because he only wants to be with women who have a very high interest in him, right? So he's just like, oh, okay, I don't care, right? Again, that whole mentality of, I don't care, she's gone. So this guy is in this crazy abundant mindset because he is dating women, talking to women, ones that he wants to, by the way, without fear, because he doesn't care if he gets rejected. And then he creates this abundance of women. So he's not scared about what he has to say or what he does. He's just being his completely authentic, unapologetic self. And then this actually attracts more women to him. So how can you tap into this? What's something that you can do right now? Because this is a journey. Okay, it's not going to be easy for a guy who's completely one way in nice land, who's just like, okay, I'm going to be, someone who's just going to be completely accommodating and appeasing, to then jump over to, now I don't care what people think of me. So here's something you can do. This week, I want you to be very aware and take notice of every single time that you do something to be nice only because you want a positive reaction out of another person. I guarantee you this is going to come up at the minimum 3 to 5 times this week. Maybe it's something, again, it's different if this is something at work. Obviously, you have to be cordial and nice to your boss and things like that. So, but there are some times you might say something to a coworker where you're just being nice. So, just go through this and be realistic here. But what are all the times throughout the week? And note them down, that you're being nice and you're not really showing your true self, and you're not going after what you want, and you're caring too much about rejection, or you're letting fear get the best of you. Mark down these times for the next 7 days. Why are you going to do this? The awareness of this issue is the only thing that can fix it. This is how change occurs. A person just can't change overnight and kumbaya themselves and mindset themselves to it. Yes, mindsets help, but mindsets only come after you're aware. So you have to be aware of what you're doing, catch yourself, figure out why you're doing that thing that's making you so nice or appeasing. And then that's the first point in which you can start to turn it around. So that's what I want you to do with this, and that's how you can actually use this information to get results. Now, I know you're still with me, and here's what I want you to do. I want 100 guys in the comments down below to write "No more Mr. Nice Guy." Just write that. Just write that down in the comments. I want to see 100 of these in the first day. So write down there, "No more Mr. Nice Guy." I want a bunch of people being like, what's going on? Why are all these people saying this? This is crazy. "No more Mr. Nice Guy." Write that down in the comments right now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.